Why do we do good? Okay, let me take you back to let me tell you this anecdote, right? So I was in a class and it was like a small class, so it was like very liberal, and we kind of like went back and forth with the teacher, and we like often talked about things that were not even related to the subject. We just talked about things often. And once I don't remember like the context around it very much, or like yeah, many details. But the topic came up about like doing voluntary work or something, and our teacher like I think she was praising people for doing it or something, and then a kid said that like he thinks they're doing it just because just to like so they have something to put on their personal statement or like CV or whatever the fuck you want to call it, the thing they send off to uni. And she got really annoyed with that because she claimed that a lot of people do it because they just want to do something good, and it's kind of like degrading and demeaning like the actions of these people who are doing good things um by just saying that they're doing it for themselves, and it's really disrespectful. um and So you've got like these two extremes arguing, right? Like you've got these two like how my hands like so bad at that should be why the hell does my hand look so weird on camera? Right, okay, that should for fuck's sake. Okay, so you've got like these two extremes, right? Let's do fists, that's easier. Um so you've got these two extremes, right? And one extreme is saying like these people are doing it for selfish reasons, and the other one is saying that's just a great very often when there are like two extremes, I tend to like stand in the middle and maybe like lean to one side or the other and like take good points from both sides because like I believe in most cases when two extremes argue, there are good points on both sides. But yeah, so I tend to lean more towards the selfish side, right? So let's get into that, right? So first of all, I wanna give you this example. So like let's take the WWE, right? If you don't know, the WWE does a lot of charity work, like the breast cancer month, where like the whole color scheme becomes pink, and they like incorporate all these things, and like they get speakers in to like try and help people who are fighting with breast cancer to encourage them and do all these things. And they've also got like the Be a Star Foundation, or Make a Wish, or like whatever the hell its name is, where like wrestlers will just go to hospitals and they'll help people. And it's true that like wrestlers are made basically by WWE, some of them to like go to hospitals, or maybe they're incentivized by like giving them more money. Um, but there are people like John Cena who constantly go and do these things, and I am convinced that John Cena doesn't just um do it for the money. And I'll get into that later because like it's just that when I look at him, I get that vibe that he doesn't do it for the money. Um, but there's more than one selfish way, one more than one selfish reason as to why people do this sort of thing. So one selfish reason obviously would be like because you're getting paid, which a lot of the wrestlers maybe will do. Another selfish reason is like what a lot of athletes will do is for PR. If they wanna, if the manager tells them it will be good for your PR, you'll gain fans by doing this. You'll get a better image, better reputation, and it'll benefit you good, given the time that you have to put into it. And for WWE as a company, like it's not time, it's money. It's the money that I have to put into it. And to like a company like WWE, their money is a lot less valuable than their time. So it's very easy for them to put in money. And if you're fucking trying to tell me that Vince McMahon, who is like basically the epitome of American capitalism and like business owning and shit, and like making economic decisions to maximize like his profits, like even though at some points it might seem immoral, you kind of get like the point I'm trying to make, right? Like he wouldn't do it just because he wants to help people. He'll do it for the PR most of all. In my opinion, like a big company like this. So like that's one reason why people do it. Um, and another reason would be like to get back on the John Cena topic. Um, like maybe he does it and he does it because he enjoys seeing the reaction on the kids' faces when he goes up and does it. You know, like when he goes up and surprises them, and that's completely normal. Like all human beings kind of experience it, and it's why like these sorts of videos, um, where he's seen in hospitals going and surprising these kids get all these views because he's doing something good, and that kind of like gets an emotional response from us like humans, from us as humans, I should say, not like applies to the case a bit more. Um, but yeah, that's the reason I think like a lot of people do it. And I obviously can't go in John Cena's brain and tell you exactly the neurons that are firing and why exactly he's making that decision. But just because he doesn't do it for money doesn't mean that he can't do it for a selfish reason. He could do it because it makes him feel good. Now maybe that's not the case, you know, like um I am maybe I'm a bit weird, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but to me like I can't imagine why someone would do something like that if it was with if it wasn't to make you feel good or so that you can or for your public image, you know, like that's just how I work, right? It's it can sound kind of weird me saying it, but I've never been afraid to say it. I've always said that like I do these sort of things because they make me feel good and because maybe because of the perception that I create in other people, like the way other people look at me for doing these things. And maybe it's just the case that I'm like a very selfish person. Um, and maybe and I just can't comprehend why other people do it. That may very well be the case. But I'm speaking here from my own experience, and I'm saying that, in my opinion, I'm pretty confident to say, and again, I might be wrong, but this is my opinion that most of these people who say they do it for purely non-selfish reasons are just like bullshitting, and I think that um that that deep down maybe they don't even understand themselves, but maybe deep down they are just doing it for these selfish reasons because think about it. I mean, your subconsciousness is what you are able to like sort of control, you know? Your subconsciousness is all the rest of it. It's like your brain being built as you grow up and like all these links get connected as you grow up based on like your genetics and like you being a human being and yeah, like the environment that you grow up around. And the subconsciousness much more closely resembles in terms of like well, your subconsciousness is just like a set of think of it as like wires firing, and then that results in you taking logical decisions, almost like a computer algorithm. That like set of decisions that you make is very similar to the set of decisions that like a bear makes when like it kills an animal or something. You know, the bear doesn't kill an animal because it understands um it the effect that its actions will have on the ecosystem and shit like that. You know, when a bear goes out and kills something, it's either to like because it feels hungry and it wants to eat something, so it goes kill something and eats some meat. That's all that goes inside its brain, or because it wants to like feed its children, which is in some ways selfish as well because it's looking after its own. So that like kind of falls in the category of selfish, you know, like looking after your children. Um, that's like the sort of thing that like nature did so that like it would continue evolution and that like be like so that the baby teddy bears would get to grow up and etc. Anyways, I'm getting off track. So yeah, these bears, their brains, the way they work, they very closely resemble how our subconsciousness works in how selfish it is, you know? Like we often do things that make us feel good. Like why do we procrastinate? Because like doing something fun makes you feel good. You know? Like I can give you like a lot of examples, but I think you get my point, right? So I think it's like unless your consciousness overrides your subconsciousness, you make these decisions because to like kind of make you feel good and for your own benefits. And when you help people, there's an emotional benefit. There's like a positive emotional response when you do these things, and you kind of feel good about yourself and like you feel good about your day, and you feel like you've done something good to the world, that you've helped the world, that you're a good human being, and all these things. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that we're just fucking animals, mammals. And if to go further with that, like sort of down that line, um, so if you see like an advert of like a child in like let's say in America, there's like this advert of an American child who was born in a hospital with a disability or like a severe disease or something that is affecting um like maybe his life, and he's 3 years old and he's like in a wheelchair, and he has to live with like with all these like under all these tough circumstances, and like he has a very tough life, and you just see this in the advert, and that advert plays on your emotional response, right? And you're more inclined to go and donate to that kid specifically, um rather than to another kid. And I'm not saying that like you're wrong for donating to that kid. I'm just saying that like the reason why you went ahead and donated that to that kid, a lot of people, is because you saw the advert and because of how it made you feel emotionally. Um, that kind of uh goes into my previous point. But now to like do a M Night Shyamalan, whatever however the fuck you pronounce his name, to do like that sort of plot twist. All of that I said, you were probably thinking, oh, it's there's probably like some sort of negative connotation to it, and like like I think it's so fucking overblown when people say things like, oh, he just does it for selfish reasons for PR. Like the reason why you do something shouldn't really be that big a factor, because at the end of the day you're just doing something, and regardless of the reason it's benefiting you. Let's take the example of John Cena going to a hospital and recording the interaction with the kid, and then it getting posted to YouTube. So there's three main parties, right? Let's call it even four main parties. So there's John Cena, there's the kid, there's you the viewer, and there's like advertisers, let's say. So it benefits John Cena, right? First of all, benefits John Cena because it makes him feel good, because he gets a positive emotion out of it because he sees the kid happy. That obviously makes him feel good. Um, and it's something that he decides to do himself. So he is doing something that he thinks is the right thing to do. So you can't say that he doesn't like I mean, he could stop doing it. The fact that he keeps on doing these sort of things shows that like there's a reason as to why he does it. So in a particular way, whether it be that selfish sort of like happiness that he gets out of it, or some other reason, he does it, right? So it's positive for him in some way. Obviously, it's positive for the kid, because he basically, I don't know, might sound kind of cheesy, but like his life just got like there's just like a moment in his life that he'll never forget, and like it impacted his life. John Cena did on the kid. John Cena impacted the kid's life, and then the viewers, they're just watching this video and they are enjoying this video, and they get like that sort of same emotional response as John Cena would seeing the happiness on the kid's face, right? And then even advertisers can join him because like them making money off on the sides of viewers watching, etc. So like if it benefits so many people, regardless, like basically everyone, if it benefits everyone, why the fuck shouldn't you do it? Like just his intentions don't matter, because at the end of the day, his intentions are completely worthless. It doesn't really matter what the intention is behind him doing this is, because when he does it, regardless of his intentions, it's the same thing that happens. It's the same impact that he has on the world, and when he has that impact, it benefits everyone. So um, yeah, I think people should just learn to embrace the fact that we do these things for selfish reasons, and basically live with it. We're not some fucking um you know, like we don't have computer algorithmic brains that take into account all the variables and act so as to um benefit the most possible people with every action. We're not like that. We're just over glorified animals. Um, and finally, just to give you a quick example, which is something that I find interesting and something that really got me thinking on this topic. Um, it was a long time ago, and it happened in CS:GO. You don't need to have watched CS:GO in order to follow like this story, but so like there was this guy who has this disease. I don't know what it's called. It's like the first time I'm recording this video and I haven't checked what it's called. Where like you can't feel pain. And pain is something that happens in your brain, and like whenever you feel pain, you kind of get like this negative emotion. When you're a baby and when you pinch yourself or something, or you like pinch your skin or something, or bite your lips or something, you feel this pain, and that's basically your brain telling you don't do that. You're damaging your body, and like the baby does stops doing that because it doesn't enjoy pain. Um, unless it's into that kinky shit. And then like the baby just stops doing it. But if you don't have this negative feedback, there's nothing stopping you from doing it. So you just keep playing around with it like you would with like a baby breaking apart like a rubber ball, you know, like you'll just peel it off bit by bit and like you'll play around with it and it'll damage it. And this guy, he was 18 at the time that happened. He had severely like damaged his body, and he was like his body was in a very bad condition to the point where he couldn't even speak and properly. Well, he could speak. I can understand what he's saying, but he couldn't speak properly, and it sounded like he was taking the piss. So he went into this game and he started speaking to the people, and everyone on the server, like his other four teammates, thought he was just taking the piss. He was some 12-year-old kid who was just trying to annoy them, and they kicked him out of the server. Um, and he got a bit emotional. He started crying, and then that made the top post of the front page of Reddit. I think probably did. It definitely made like top post of CS:GO, and like the whole community noticed it, and he got a lot more viewers for the next like 2-3 weeks, and he got a lot of donations. I'm hoping they helped him get better and everything and improve his life. I hope they did. And like all these people donated, pro players, streamers tweeted to him. Streamers made big donations as well. I think Mo Summit, they made big donations. Um, and he got all this attention. But think about this. Let me say this. This guy had been streaming for like a month or 2 months before that, like if not longer. And no one had noticed him. You know when they noticed him? When he had that reaction that played on their emotions. I'm not saying that sound like I'm saying that he intentionally did it to like get support. I don't know. I doubt he did. But like the point is that people started helping him when their emotion got involved, when they were emotionally invested into this whole thing. When in reality, him crying doesn't really change the situation that much. He'd been in a shitty situation since before. It's just the case that we as humans couldn't control, like our emotion took control of us, and that resulted in us like only starting to pay attention to him then. And that's what happens with, like, I gave the example earlier with like adverts and everything. um so I think it is a very fair statement to say that the emotional aspect of helping people and doing good things that are very selfless plays a big part in it. So in the reason you are doing it for a selfish reason. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. See you next time, and bye bye.